Friends, is it okay if I do without a mic? Yeah. Is that okay? You can hear me over there? Okay. So, a little bit about myself. I am a country boy with big city dreams. I was born in a town that was not on the map until probably late 90s, called Montemorelos, Nuevo León, Mexico, the university in Mexico. I was born on campus of that university. It's not an urban space at all. So my upbringing was not in the concrete jungle. It was climbing trees and skipping rocks and jumping over rivers, and that was my life. But I had a little TV. That little TV transported me to the city often. And for some reason, it was always New York City. I've never lived in New York. But whether it was Batman with Gotham in the background, or the Ninja Turtles with New York in the background, or Home Alone, it was always the city for me. And God has given me the privilege now over the course of the last 19 years to work with inner city communities in LA. That's where I met Tony, by the way. Tony and I, we went to school together. You were a year or two ahead of me. And then we did ministry in Southern California together. It's good to see you here again, man. He says I have an American accent. I don't even know what that means, because I'm Mexican. I just happen to live in America. There's something about the city for me that my wife actually laughs, because when she thinks of retreating, she thinks of trees and green and beaches and mountains. When I retreat, for some reason, I go to the heart of the densest urban spaces and just people watch and just take in the energy of the masses. It helps that I'm a photographer. I love taking pictures and capturing moments and just praying with my camera and with my feet, getting to feel the city. So it's been a passion of mine, and as Rose mentioned, I am not coming today as an academic. I'm a local church pastor. I started my role with the General Conference a couple months ago, and one of my requests was, I don't want to move to Silver Springs, Maryland. Leave me in my city. And if it's okay with you, I would love to continue serving at my church. So I continue to be lead pastor there at the White Memorial Church in LA on a voluntary basis, because it's where my heart is. My heart is with my community. And my city needs good leadership right now. As you can imagine, you've seen a lot of the stuff that we've been going through. So today we talk about this, and it's going to be more of a conversation, if that's okay. I want to be a facilitator today of this conversation of the gospel as counter witness to what we call the zeitgeist. Now, don't get too hung up on the term, even though we're going to be repeating it time and time. The zeitgeist really just is the spirit of the age. What is the intellectual, the moral, the cultural climate of a given era? That is what is known. It's an 18th century term called the zeitgeist. So what is the temperature? What is the climate of a specific era when it comes to intellectuality, morality, culture, arts, politics? So a way to identify the zeitgeist is to ask ourselves a number of questions. I don't know, Tony, if you remember, if you ever had a class with Maury Jackson. He used to teach a class called Urban Missions, and the very first book that he gave us was a little book called Tell Me City Stories. Tiny little book, looked like a pamphlet. And this entire work is there to inspire you not to talk to the city, but to listen to it. We're great at talking to the city. We're great at going somewhere and telling the city what we think they need to know, and even handing them literature that we think they need to read, and we assume that they want to read, and we do a lot of talking, but not enough listening. So I want us to, as we begin, consider your context. And I understand that not all of us here today are city people. We're not all in major urban centers, but I want you to consider your context for a moment as we consider the zeitgeist. What is this thing? What is the spirit of the age in our context? So this is where this becomes a dialogue. I want you to think of your context. In your city, in your town, in your neighborhood, in your community. What does your city celebrate? What are the things that you can speak to me? Sports. What else? Religious events. Mardi Gras. Okay. What else? What does your city celebrate?
We are the nature capital of New Zealand.
The?
Nature capital.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Anyone else?
Anzac Day.
Okay. Anyone else?
New stadium.
New stadium. Excellent. Okay. The river. My city's celebrating the arrival of the FIFA World Cup in a couple weeks, which I agree is the real football. But I'm not going to get into that. In my city, we celebrate arts. We celebrate film. We celebrate views. You following? Watch this. What does your city ignore? What are some things that your city might ignore? This is a little harder, but I want you to think about it. Someone said faith? Okay. Someone said God? Okay. Religious morals. Okay. What does your city ignore?
Our city's ignoring the supply of housing for us and the outset of the crisis.
Okay. All right. Okay. Homeless. Okay. Young people. Okay. My city ignores Washington, D.C.
Ours is Canberra.
I'm just saying. What does your city normalize? Mardi Gras. Okay, we went back there again. What does your city normalize?
My city normalizes mold in your house.
Mold in your house. Okay. What does your city normalize? For us, it's homelessness. It becomes a fixture. It becomes a blind spot for us. We've normalized it. How about this one? What does your city call good? Sorry? Okay. Anyone else? What does it call good? Not fun. Not excitement. Sorry? Affluent lifestyle. Equated to goodness. Thank you for that. Crack down on crime, right? When we're talking about good, we're talking about morality, by the way. We consider something good, right? Okay? What does your city consider good? Inclusivity. Okay. New hospital.
Service in the Defence Force.
Okay. Service in the Defense Force. How does your city measures progress? Jobs. Infrastructure. Income. Thank you. Okay, that's a good way to measure something, right? How about anxiety? What makes your city anxious? Earthquakes. Hey, me too. Sorry? Okay. Excellent. Violence. You know what makes my city anxious? Unmarked black SUVs. Unmarked black SUVs. we see unmarked SUVs, and I can see my membership dwindling, my attendance dwindling on Sabbath because of the presence of unmarked black SUVs. So, couple more. In your community and in your city, what does your city demand for belonging? We've already said, there's homelessness. Most of them, we would agree that are on the margins of belonging, right? What does your context say? This is what it takes for you to belong in my community. English. Thank you.
Rates.
Okay. Rates. Anyone else?
Loyalty to the state.
Okay. Loyalty. Okay. Right. Okay. That's a great one. How about this one? How does it view technology? How does your city or your community view technology? Sorry? Okay, embraces it.
Except for the very old people.
Okay. That's helpful.
But I think there's an element with CCTV, there's an element of privacy that they resist.
Okay? There's a sense of resistance. All right? Lastly, how does it practice the arts? Your city, your community, how does it practice the arts? Or does it?
City of Lights.
Okay.
Festival where they
Festivals?
buildings.
Okay. Okay. We idolize them in my city. We idolize them, and we are heavily influenced by them, right? We are indoctrinated by the arts. Okay, so why are we saying this? Because every city and every community has a zeitgeist. And my reality in LA is going to be very different than yours. And even across the room here, we see that our answers are different, and they may be pulling us in a different direction. So the question that we're grappling with today is, what does the church have to say to the zeitgeist of our communities? The zeitgeist, the spirit of the age